Carbon, probably the most important atom mankind has known outside oxygen. Can you think of a life without carbon? Carbon regulates Earth's temperature, is essential to life. It makes life happen. It makes movement happen. It makes us mobile. So carbon is a great thing. It's there as coal, it's also there as a diamond. And it comes in many associative forms. One associative form that we all right now are experiencing but not experiencing is carbon dioxide. As we breathe out, we are breathing out carbon dioxide. So what's so good or bad about carbon dioxide? A lot of discussion, literature, all the policy thinking is today around carbon dioxide and regulating the carbon dioxide. Why do we want to regulate carbon dioxide? All human activities lead to generation of carbon dioxide. Why do we want to lead? Because as carbon dioxide is going up, what was the good part of regulating the temperature of Earth? Remember, the word regulation, not control, is now becoming, on its other dimension, a bad one. As the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are going up, we are going to experience climate change, because these increasing concentration of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere is leading to what is called global warming or warming of the Earth. The global warming is a phenomena that is going to change climate as we have known it across. And why is that so critical? Because this is irreversible. If the climate changes, we can't take further action down the line and say, okay, I will reverse it back. It's not possible to reverse, it's irreversible. So all of our efforts should then be to manage this carbon dioxide emissions. Which carbon, can we stop living? Can we stop being mobile? Answer is no. But what can we do that can preserve the future for our children and grandchildren? They have an equal right to this earth that I and you inherited from our parents or grandparents. So let me give you a postulate. Very simple. Any carbon that comes from below the ground is not good. Any carbon that comes from above the ground is good. With this very simple definition of carbon, what comes from below being not good, what comes from above being good, and therefore our effort as humanity, as scientists, as engineers, as good citizens of the world should be to utilize and reutilize and maximally utilize the carbon that is above the earth and minimize what comes from below the earth. And that's what moves me to this slide that I want to show you. So, as we said, carbon is at the center of energy that we use, and I don't have to explain, this is very basic to human development and life. As humanity has progressed, we have seen three transitions so far. The first energy transition took place in 1800s to 1900 period, when we shifted the energy to coal. Earlier, all the form of energy was mostly for cooking, heating, domestic applications. Women folk would burn wood or bushes that they would collect, etc. And then coal was discovered. Carbon, remember? The second shift came when oil and gas were discovered. Remember, coal comes from below the ground. Oil and gas also comes from below the ground. But we moved on. And from coal, the first shift happened in 1900. The second shift happened in about 75 odd years. And we discovered oil and gas. and world was a different place. The definition of mobility changes, the definition of energy changed, affordability changed. It did many, many good things. We are here, we are today because of this energy that came from below the ground. And we have used it to its maximum, to the hilt. Only now we realize that there was an invisible enemy we were creating for ourselves. Not so much for ourselves today, but for our grandchildren. Because remember, this was the carbon that was coming from below the ground, and this was leading to global warming and subsequent climate change. So, third transition then. And that's what we are talking about now. What's this third transition? We have talked of sustainable energy, green energy, comes in different forms. So wind energy, solar energy, there have been different forms of energies that have been talked about, and they are increasingly finding use in our daily lives. So 3 transitions, and we are now at the cusp of the third energy transition. A very important new element to this third transition is the transition to bioeconomy. What is bioeconomy? It's a beautiful concept. And let me explain this to you. It starts with what's above the ground. It starts with our jungles, it starts with our agriculture, it starts with our fields. That's the beginning. You find a way, technology, innovation, find interventions of processing this biomass. Many of us today, yesterday, day before, this is the season for this news, when we hear that our national capital is down with fog. Flights are not taking off, schools are closed, can't run diesel vehicles on the road. There are many, many measures that come in. Construction is stopped. Because towards end of early November, end of October, the farmers in Punjab and Haryana, they start to burn the standing residues of the crop that they have removed, or the rice crop they have removed. So they start burning the rice straw. And as the winds move, they bring all the smoke and dump it on our national capital. So we would think, oh, so this is the phenomena for India and Delhi. This is a phenomena everywhere. This is the same situation that happens in California, the same situation that happens in Karnal. Farmers are same everywhere. They are saying, show me a use of this residue, otherwise I have no other way to dispose this off, I will just burn it off. And that's when you want this biomass to be brought for bioprocessing. If we can find a way of processing, and I'll talk about it, in a meaningful manner, we can actually turn this entire biomass to a usable form of energy. I do not know whether any of you have even realized that in the last 2 years, the tanks in your 2-wheelers or 4-wheelers today in India have started to use ethanol as a blend to petrol, which has gone up from a mere 3% to nearly 16% today. You think you are pulling petrol, but 16% of it is ethanol, which comes from bioprocessing. And this number is set to go up. And there are different things you can do. Ethanol is just one example. There are different things that you can do. And then the beauty starts. Once you have made the bioprocessing happen, nature has so constructed this that you are in a position to then move on and extract the fuel and leave the residue back to the field as fertilizer. The cycle is complete. Think of India. God has not given us crude oil below the ground, but it has given us enough of sun and an agrarian economy above the ground. Should we not use this and become very, very wise? Look at the left of the screen. This is a traditional refinery. When we think of taking crude oil from below the ground, which is a carbon intensive process, I told you already as a principle, from what's from below the ground is not good. But all the stuff that I've written in the middle of the slide is something we say, I can't think of my life without it. Without petrol, without diesel, without kerosene. We cannot think of our life without plastics. Our life is built around these, bitumen, the roads. How beautiful it will be if I tell you we can actually go to a biorefinery in future. It's already there on the ground. That does bioprocessing. Everything is above the ground. And for every product that the refinery processing crude from below the ground processes and produces, I have an equivalent product that I will produce. This is the concept. The future is not the normal oil refinery. The future is a biorefinery. Let me go and talk a little more here. Who is the stakeholder who will make this happen? Let's think of national governments of all agrarian economies, India is one of them, who do not have crude oil below their surface. These governments are thinking, India government is one of them, how can I utilize what's available to me as a resource? It's no longer a waste, it's a resource. And now start thinking. Last year, or this running year, we will import crude oil about $150 billion worth. If I can substitute 20% of that, that 20% goes back to farmers of my country. It's wealth creation for country. I and you don't have to change our lifestyle. We still run the same vehicles. We still go to same pumps. Can I take the same biomass and I can convert that to gas, a natural gas, and substitute all my cooking in villages? Can I make fertilizer with that gas? Yes. I don't have to go outside. So I start saving money. And that's the wealth that, from a country's perspective, the foreign exchange that was flowing out now stays within. So government is a very happy stakeholder. Second dimension, you are now producing your own energy. You're not dependent on others. The world has learned with the Russia-Ukraine war that all it takes is for Russia to turn one valve off. And you may have all the money in the world, but you will not get the access to energy that you need. So, energy security, self-reliance, foreign exchange saving, and the wealth of the country going up. From a government's perspective, this is a great thing to happen. What about farmers? I am going to get paid for something that I was just torching. What about environment? I am going to produce CO2 from what's above the ground, which is already friendly. It saves. What about humanity? Everybody would agree with me. If I want to do something which will save or ensure future of my children, I will do that gladly. And this is the action that actually takes us there. It takes us gladly to that place. So all stakeholders in this game are very happy. India has an additional advantage. All agrarian economies for that matter. But more so for us, why? We have a lot of youth that is living in villages. And one of the big challenges for us in our economy is how do we create employment for this youth? If I create bioprocessing units near the fields, near the farms, I have created a great employment opportunity right there. I don't have to go anywhere else. I stay there. The world is trying to address this problem through different initiatives. You have heard of net zero. We have heard of sustainable energy. We have heard of greening of the energy. We want to say no to fossil energy. These are steps. Converting to bio is a very important step. Because as we saw, a biorefinery makes it possible for me to actually create every single product that I today use. So it's not calling for a lifestyle change. All it is calling for is a thinking change. My lifestyle still remains the same, but by adopting the bioeconomy, I can actually protect children of my future. And it's a very simple 6 magic A's for bioeconomy. First and foremost, it is an alternative to what we have today, a very viable alternative. It is very, very available locally everywhere. In any agrarian economy you go, it doesn't matter which state you go to, an agriculture waste. If you go to North Europe, then it is forest waste. Every economy that has got agri or forest on its topography is a natural candidate for this. It's very affordable, it's local, right? It's very, very accessible to everyone. The technology is already there. All we need is to understand the applications. One beautiful application. In Africa, 80% of the women actually use wooden stoves even today. And the smoke that it creates huge health hazards for them. Just substituting that with an ethanol stove, will completely take away the health index from where it is today to nearly developed world index for these women. All we need to do is accelerate adoption and think differently. Bioeconomy is the future. Thank you.